Ferrari, the most iconic name in Formula One, was poised for a grand comeback. Behind the historic gates on Via Bet1 Inferior number 4, a new chapter began with the kind of driver pairing that dreams are made of. Charles Leclerc, the longtime hope, and Lewis Hamilton, a living legend chasing one last masterpiece. But instead of a tale of redemption, what's unfolding is a familiar and painful script. High hopes, poor execution, and internal pressure that's building faster than the cars can go. Ferrari isn't just a race team. It's a national symbol and emotional, cultural force that represents Italy's industrial pride and passion. It's a brand built not just with speed, but with soul. Enzo Ferrari wasn't just a founder, he was a myth maker. And in that myth lives both Ferrari's greatest strength and its recurring weakness, an impatient heart. As of race 6, Ferrari trails McLaren by more than 150 points. That's not a gap, it's a chasm. What was meant to be the fiercest challenger to the reigning giants now finds itself slipping behind even Williams. It's a bitter pill for a team with such pedigree, especially one that nearly took the constructor's crown just last season. Lewis Hamilton didn't come to Ferrari for a paycheck. He came for legacy. After conquering F1 with Mercedes, he saw Ferrari as the place to write the final, red-tinted chapter of his storied career. It was a move steeped in history, prestige, and emotional gravity. But so far, what he's found is a car that refuses to obey and a team that seems hesitant in crisis. In Miami, under the bright lights of a Grand Prix that's more Super Bowl than traditional race, Hamilton had his worst weekend yet in red. Knocked out in Q2, finishing 8th and delivering biting sarcasm over the radio. "Go on a tea break," he told his race engineer. It wasn't just frustration, it was disillusionment. F1 veterans like Damon Hill and Martin Brundle were stunned not just by the performance, but by Hamilton's tone. Hill admitted he'd never heard Lewis sound so bitter. Brundle zeroed in on the phrase, "you guys," which Hamilton used on team radio's subtle but damning crack in the unity Ferrari so desperately needs. Internally, Ferrari described Hamilton's qualifying result in Miami as indigestible, a word that hints not only at disappointment, but also at discomfort. Something is off, and it's not just in the telemetry. The SF-25 is struggling with tire degradation, a fatal flaw that's preventing them from pushing forward with planned aerodynamic upgrades. Without tire grip, there's no foundation for improvement. After Miami, Ferrari made an unexpected suspension change, a move that reeked more of desperation than strategy. And within that chaos, the whispers grow louder. Will someone get fired? Martin Brundle, a voice of reason in the ever-noisy world of F1, has a clear message for Ferrari. Don't fall back into your old habits. What they mustn't do is act like a football club and just fire the manager. Fire everybody. Change everything just for the sake of change. That won't help, Brundle warned on the F1 show. We've seen other teams make that mistake before. It's a well-documented cycle in Maranello. Failure leads to firings, which leads to instability, which leads to more failure. From Domenicali to Arrivabene to Binotto, Ferrari has cycled through leadership like a team searching for its soul. But as Brundle implies, replacing heads doesn't fix a body that's broken beneath the surface. Charles Leclerc, the golden boy of the post-Vettel era, is also enduring yet another deja vu season. After scoring a lone podium in Saudi Arabia, the Monégasque star has watched opportunities vanish in slow motion, just like in seasons past. Fast on Friday, fading on Sunday. The story never changes. He remains diplomatic in the media, but no one can ignore the weariness in his voice. Leclerc was promised progress. What he's getting is repetition. And one has to wonder, how long before he stops waiting? Next stop, Imola, Ferrari's spiritual home. The place where banners wave, flares ignite, and the Tifosi roar like gladiators in a Colosseum. But with that devotion comes relentless pressure. The team won't have the luxury of making excuses in front of its own people. In Italy, underperformance isn't just criticized, it's taken personally. Ferrari doesn't just need technical updates. They need a cultural overhaul. Our decision-making process is efficient? Is communication open and honest? Or is the team paralyzed by fear of making the wrong move? This is a paradox of Ferrari. The badge commands reverence, but the structure often resists evolution. The red suits, the prancing horse, the Latin fire, it's all beautiful. But Formula One doesn't care about romance. It rewards precision, strategy, and above all, consistency. As the season rolls into Europe, Ferrari finds itself at crossroads. Will they respond with poise and purpose, or will they fall into old habits and panic? Hamilton didn't sign up for nostalgia. He came to win. If Ferrari can't give him the tools or the freedom to do that, the partnership may fracture beyond repair. The 2025 season still has chapters to be written. But right now, the tone is shifting from hope to concern. In the paddock, in the grandstands, a question echoes louder than any engine. Does Ferrari still know how to win? In a city where palm trees sway, yachts gleam, and Grand Prix weekends feel more like music festivals and motor races, the heat in Miami wasn't just on the track. It was simmering on Ferrari team radio. Amid the thump of DJ sets and the buzz of celebrities, one voice cut through the glitz with a tone of sharp disapproval. Lewis Hamilton's. The seven-time world champion, now donning the red of Maranello, finished a distant eighth at the 2025 Miami Grand Prix. But it wasn't just his finishing position that sparked headlines. It was a tension boiling beneath his helmet and the raw honesty broadcast of millions as he lashed out over Ferrari's hesitancy with team orders. And while Hamilton's frustration was palpable, former F1 driver and analyst Jolyon Palmer believes what we heard was more smoke than fire. Hamilton joined Ferrari not just for red overalls or the history, but for the chance to etch his 8th title in the pages of the most iconic team in motorsport. But if there's one thing every driver learns quickly at Ferrari, it's this. Performance is only half the battle. The rest? It's culture, tradition, and a tangle of internal politics. This is a Mercedes, where structure reigns supreme. Ferrari operates more like a passionate opera than a precision-engineered machine. Emotions run high. Decisions get emotional, and public scrutiny is part of the package. Just ask Sebastian Vettel or Fernando Alonso. In Miami, Hamilton got his first real taste of what it means to navigate not just a Grand Prix, but the Ferrari way. At 40, Hamilton is in uncharted territory. Most drivers are long retired, but he's still fighting, still chasing greatness. The move to Ferrari was bold, romantic, and daring, but it also came with a price: patience. Miami wasn't disaster, but it was a cultural reckoning. The radio messages, the tone, the passive-aggressive jabs, they weren't just race day reactions. They were a glimpse into a champion realizing that this isn't his old home anymore. Miami proved that even legends aren't immune to frustration. And in the world of Formula One, where every decision is dissected and every second counts, sometimes the biggest battle isn't on track. It's within the team. Lewis Hamilton is still one of the greatest to ever touch a steering wheel. But in the Scarlet Sea of Ferrari, greatness isn't enough. Harmony, diplomacy, and timing matter just as much. Because at Ferrari, you don't just race. You perform. And sometimes you wait for the curtain call.